I'm going to try to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, but I probably will slip up here or there. So I definitely recommend going to see us before watching this full review, if you don't want to be spoiled by anything. Hey, I'm Amy and welcome back. I am so excited for today's review. It is the first one in my new format that I'm planning on doing for all new movie reviews. Instead of going up on Friday, the day after I go through the movie, it's coming up 2 days later on Saturday because, oh my gosh, I went on a big long rant on Twitter. If you want to see that, go follow me on Twitter. But yeah, I'm going to start doing these on Sunday or Saturday. But anyways, what I'm excited for even more is the fact that I'm going to be talking about the new Jordan Peele movie, Us. I loved Get Out. I'm really excited for the new Twilight Zone, even though it's on CBS All Access, and I'm not going to get CBS All Access just to watch the new Twilight Zone. I have been waiting for this movie since they announced it. I was here for it. So we're going to be talking about that today, and as most of you know, if you have not seen a lot of my videos, I am not a huge fan of horror, or I haven't been a huge fan of horror until most recently. I took a horror film class in college that really opened me up to it, and I really love slasher movies and zombie movies, and I work for a company that deals a lot with horror films, so I've really been getting into a lot of the more campy horror, which is a lot of what we produce at work. So I've been getting more open to the concept of horror. Concept of horror sounds so stupid. But I've really been open more to horror films, and I loved Get Out. It was one of the films that really kind of brought me into enjoying and embracing this genre a lot more, as well as the new It movie, and Happy Death Day was a very easy slide in there. But besides all that, we're done talking about that. We're going to talk about Us today, and like I said at the beginning of this, there may be some slight spoilers. I can't promise that. There's a child yelling outside. I'm going to try to ignore that and get on with this. So, like I said, leading up to Us, I was very excited for it because I love Get Out and Jordan Peele, and I'm new to the horror thing. But because I'm new to the horror thing, I was a little nervous going into it because it did look a lot creepier and a lot scarier than Get Out was. So, going into this, I was ready to be clenching the armrests of my seat that I was sharing with a slightly chubby 10-year-old who kept shaking his legs and talking to his parents. But I really just leaned over and ignored him. But yes, this movie to me was a lot scarier than Get Out. Get Out was a little bit more of a psychological thriller with the psychological horror, I guess is a better term for it. It was more of a psychological horror with a little bit of the more gruesome aspects of horror thrown in at the end. It was a little bit more bloody at the end. This one, it was fairly bloody all around, but it definitely had a lot more of the jump scares than what Get Out did, and I really enjoyed them. They were very well done. Some of them you could see coming, but I mean, if you watch any horror film long enough, you know when the jump scares are possibly coming. They pointed it out in Hellfest, which I absolutely love that movie, even though it's kind of bad. I had a lot of fun with this movie, and I've heard it's been getting a little bit mixed reviews because it's not the amazing, it's just not the huge surprise that Get Out was when Get Out came out. But this one, it did have a lot of the underlying symbolism that is known, Jordan Peele is known for, at least for Get Out, and I won't go a whole lot into some of them, but a lot of them are fairly obvious through the premise. If you know what the premise of Get Out is, it's basically a woman find a doppelganger in her, I don't know how to really explain it, but if you've seen the trailer, you kind of understand the premise of it. But there's a lot of duality in this film, which I really love because that's basically what film is about. It's about two women, a woman and her clone, I guess, it's more understandable. But it broadens out. You see in the trailer that it broadens out more into her entire family because the little boy says that it's us. It's their family are invading their home, and yeah, so there's a lot of duality in this, and I love the way Jordan Peele portrayed that. He used 11:11 multiple times. He used mirrors, and reflections so well. I love the way they used mirrors and reflections. They shot a lot of the first, I would say the first half of this movie, they shot a lot of it in with the use of reflections and mirrors. And then once I really don't know what to call them. They call them the tethered, spoiler alert, they call them the tethered in the movie, so I guess I'll call them that here. When the tether arrived, they stopped using the reflections and they use the breaking of using the reflections, they do in a really interesting way. And I don't want to spoil it because it's I really love the way that they kind of broke the reflections. They do come back up a couple other times, but the shooting through reflections with a big emphasis on shooting through the reflections is kind of broken in this one scene through a reflection and through the shattering of that reflection, which, I mean, that kind of just makes it all obvious, but the way it's done is very well done, very interesting. I can't emphasize enough how much I loved Jordan Peele's use of reflections and mirrors in this film. They even have a pair of twins. It's the White family's twins. They're not the family that is white. They have a set of twins. That's another symbol, I guess, in this as well. And the scissors cut, like, I mean, that's kind of obvious. The tethered want to cut their tether to the actual, like, they're both humans, but they want to cut it to, like, the person living. Spoilers! I don't want to do spoilers. So I'm going to go just past all the spoiler stuff and talk a little bit about the music and tension. The music is really great. Even though I don't know or care about hip-hop music, it really brought me into the scene because it felt like the right music to be listening to. The family really, like, they knew the music. I can't talk for some reason. The family knew the music, they really got into the groove of it, and you could tell that they really enjoyed the music that they were listening to, like the diegetic music, and then the non-diegetic music really fit the scene very well as well. And then there's some orchestral music that plays, and the string version of I Got Five on It is like they played in the trailer, but when they use it in the film, it's so intense and it helps build the tension. A lot of the orchestral music really helps build the tension very well throughout this film. I really, really liked it, and they use it very well to help show the tension that Adelaide, or Lupita Nyong'o's character, is feeling. They use it really well to show the tension that Lupita Nyong'o's character, Adelaide, is feeling, and they also use it as a comedic device throughout the film, which I was not surprised because Jordan Peele is a comedic genius. He did some comedic parts throughout Get Out, but I feel like this one was a lot funnier than Get Out was. Through the use of music, they did some really great comedic elements, but the cast, I feel like, was what really made it stand out as being a lot funnier, because in Get Out, all you really had was Lil Rel and his comedy. There was some on the rest of the side, like the rest of the cast, but Lil Rel really held up on the comedy side. In this one, you have both of the kids are doing some really great comedic stuff, and Winston Duke was probably my favorite comedic part, because he was comedic throughout the entire thing. Even in some very tense situations, he livened it up a little bit with this comedic timing, and even his tethered self did some really great comedic bits. So very excited to see more from Winston Duke, especially in the new, like, if they're doing a new Black Panther movie, which there probably will be. Seeing him as M'Baku, I feel like he would probably get a really bigger role, but also anything else that he's in. And speaking of the rest of the cast, Lupita Nyong'o is so good. She holds her own. I love her so much. She is brilliant. She's an amazing actress. I knew that already. They all play their own tethered selves, but her tethered self has just such this presence about her. It's terrifying, and but it's also just, I don't know. It's so good. Lupita Nyong'o is just so good. And then her as like Adelaide is really good, and you can like I said earlier, you can feel the tension that she's feeling. You can feel the stress and her anxieties about everything. I feel like I just kept saying the same thing there. But you can just feel her paranoia. That's the word I was looking for. You can feel her paranoia through Lupita Nyong'o's acting, and she just does it so well. Another brilliant part of this was the cinematography. There is this one just continuous panning scene. It's for about a solid minute where it just pans around the house and you see the family kind of come and sit down, and then it pans around and you see the tethered family, and it's so interesting. And it also goes with the mirrors and the way that they shot reflections within the mirrors. I really love the cinematography in this as well. It's so good. And to add to the comedy bit, I'm kind of going a little bit all over the place here, I know, but I'm just going down the list of my notes. There is one comedy bit that I really, really loved. It's kind of towards the beginning or the middle of the second act of the film, and it really shows the difference between the stereotypes of how white people versus black people act in a horror movie. And I absolutely loved it because I looked at how the white family was acting during this horror movie and how the black family was acting during the horror movie, and they are basically the stereotypes in every horror film. And I love that Jordan Peele was playing up those tropes, because as a new fan to horror, I love seeing those kind of things being picked out and shown really just straight up and in your face. I am also a huge fan of meta-ness, not only within the film, but within genres as well. I love when a genre turns on itself and kind of pokes fun. That's why I think Jordan Peele does these films so well, and why a lot of other horror films that I like do so well is that. There's one thing though that I wasn't super fond of, and it didn't detract from the movie at all for me, but it's just something that I personally did not like, and it's only because it's only like just me. I don't think anybody else would have an issue with this, is the twist that happens at the end. There is like at the top of the third act, yeah, it's around the top of the third act, there's this moment that happens, and I was like, something just clicked in my brain. I was like, okay, I think I know what's going to happen at the end of this, and I was right. I'm not like faulting the movie for that. I think it's just something that clicked inside my brain. I don't know why I have an issue with it, but at the same time, I still really enjoy this movie. Rewatch score for this movie is definitely like day of, I am buying this and adding this to my collection. I absolutely loved it. The me figuring out the end had zero consequence on how I perceived the movie as a whole in the end. It's just something I had an issue with. It's really weird. I think the rest of how great the film is really overshadowed all of that to me. There are some like I've seen people review this who have issues with a lot of the way the tethered works and what is happening with the tethered. I see those issues, but I also had a lot of fun watching this and seeing how all of that worked, or not seeing how all of that worked, to kind of ignore it. It was fine. I didn't care. I had too much fun. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up because I've been talking for way longer than I thought I would. Let me know your thoughts of, I almost said Get Out. Let me know your thoughts of Us in the comments down below, but also let me know your thoughts of Get Out. Which Jordan Peele movie is your favorite? Personally, I liked Get Out a little bit more than this, but I still really liked Us. So I think Jordan Peele is becoming my new favorite horror director. John Carpenter, come on. Come on, John Carpenter. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, truly do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know who you are in the comments down below, and let's be friends. If you enjoyed this, leave a like and subscribe if you're new, because I love talking about these movies, TV shows, filmmaking, mystery, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye!